All right, everyone. So welcome back to Team Analysis for the 14th edition of the Indian Premier League. So this time we're going to be talking about the Sunrisers Hyderabad. So now we're going to start by talking about the playing 11. So Akshat, we're going to start with you. What do you think about their playing 11?
Right, so I think David Warner, captain, is your first name on the list, and deservingly so. To partner David Warner, I would go Ridhaman Saha and not Johnny Bairstow. I think Saha played 3 games last season and he got 230 runs, averaged about 120 or 130 because he got out once or twice, if I'm not wrong. And he was also striking it fairly well at about 150. So Ridhaman Saha or David Warner, Saha is also the best wicketkeeper in the modern game, in my opinion, if you judge him based on just technique.
Yeah.
Number 3, I would have Manish Pandey, and I would put a punt on the fact that it's going to be a big season for him. Number 4, I would have Kane Williamson. He sort of glues the top order to the middle order, and he performed really well last year in that role. Number 5, I would have Priyam Garg. Number 6, I would have Vijay Shankar. Number 7, I'd go with my third overseas, Mohammed Nabi, another left field choice. But Mohammed Nabi bats at number 5 for the Renegades, and he's also done brilliantly. He can bowl anytime. He bowls brilliantly to the left-handers. He takes the new ball, and he's also one of the few off-spinners who can bowl decently to a right-handed batsman. So that's, I think, a real paucity in these times where they say that incoming spinners shouldn't bowl to those batsmen. Number 8, Rashid Khan, he picks himself, and his batting is also really improved. With every season, we see that he's moving up the ranks. Number 9, Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, who's coming off a brilliant series against England. 10, Nathu, again, he picks himself, had a fantastic tour of Australia. And 11, though we have a couple of choices for that Indian quick, I would go with Sandeep Sharma because he's really good with the new ball and he can swing it both ways. Now, a couple of things before I open it up to Han to sort of negate my points. I can actually play Jason Holder instead of Mohammed Nabi on wickets that are seaming, and Vijay Shankar out and play a Kedar Jadhav. So you sort of don't miss out too much on the skill sets there. Also, what I could do is move a Sandeep Sharma out and play a left-arm spinner, a Shahbaz Nadeem. He's also somebody who's done really well consistently in the domestic circuit. He also, I think, played a decent test match for India against England a couple of months ago. So these are the different permutation combinations I see possible. Over to you, Ahan.
So I see Akshat's not really spoken about a Johnny Bairstow who was fantastic in the limited over series against India that recently concluded. Then that adds more to the opening pair, but obviously looking at the 4 options, it's not going to be very easy to compensate him, given the fact that you can't really have a balance without a Nabi and a Holder, because I don't think Abhishek Sharma has that level of experience or that quality yet to slot in as that primary all-rounder that Sunrisers are looking for. But that's not the end of the world. We've seen that Rashid is more than capable of batting at 7, even though a lot of people might disagree with me. But keeping someone like a Rashid at a 7 gives Sunrisers the chance of compensating a Shahbaz Nadeem into the 11 straight away, or maybe compensating a Khalil Ahmed as an extra left-arm quick option, or Siddharth Kaul as a right-arm medium pace option. On top of that, Shrivats Goswami has always performed for Sunrisers when called upon. And I'm very excited to see how Jason Roy comes into this entire team since he's been named as the replacement for Mitchell Marsh for COVID-related reasons. So that's very interesting. Then on top of that, I think Virat Singh is going to be an exciting person to look out for this season. He didn't get an opportunity last season, but he was spoken about very highly when he came into the team. And personally, looking at this team, I think Vijay Shankar should be batting a little higher because we've seen that his best batting performances are when he takes his time to settle in, and I don't think that number 6 role really gives him that time to settle in. But anyway, looking at this team, I think this is one of the few teams who've got all their uh, who basically ticked all the boxes in their recruitment, and bringing in Mujib as a cover for Rashid Khan is probably one of the best strategies they could have come up with, because we've never thought about replacing a Rashid in the team. But God forbid, if something were to happen, I don't think there's anyone out there better than Mujib to come into the team to compensate uh, such a void that could be left without him.
Yeah, I think Ahan, you brought up a very important point there, and you flagged an important player, Virat Singh. He's supposed to be the next big thing. He's a left-handed, hard-hitting middle order batsman. Very few of them around, especially in the country.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind experimenting or sort of playing him or pitching him against a Priyam Garg to see how both of them have a little bit of a matchup. So I would have Virat Singh there. Personally, I don't think Bairstow or Jason Roy have much of a shot at the playing 11, because I see this batting order as a beautifully set team that synchronizes very well. People know their roles. I know you said Vijay Shankar isn't somebody who is that designated finisher, but mind you, he got picked in India's World Cup team to do this job. And if he got picked for the World Cup team, there must be something about him there, right? So you could use Vijay Shankar and Kedar Jadhav alternatively, I feel. Where Rashid moving up moving up to number 7 is concerned, I know he's good. He's good enough to hit a 6 and a 4, but he's not good enough to get you 25 of 10 balls. And that's precisely what number 7 does. And more than that, I feel there's one player who's someone who can contribute a lot to a franchise, but doesn't fit into the ethos of this side too well. And that's Abdul Samar. He's a big hitting batsman from Jammu and Kashmir, can give you a couple of handy overs of leg spin as well, a gun fielder, and he's all of 20. I would love to see him in the next auction be taken by another team, because I don't see him to be playing too much of a role here, as he's going to be overshadowed by the likes of a Rashid.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think Akshat, you're pretty certain about your 4 and 4, which are going to be like Warren, Williamson, Nabi, and Rashid. Ahan, what do you think? Do you want Bairstow or Roy to come in place of Saha?
Look, personally, based on Bairstow's current form, I think you have to find a way to compensate Johnny Bairstow. I know it's hard for the balance, and Akshat keeps bringing that up, but you can't drop Johnny Bairstow when he's in this kind of form. I mean, he single-handedly won England two T20s, if I'm not mistaken, and an ODI. And he was fantastic in the first ODI as well. The moment he failed in the third ODI, England were basically in a spot of bother. So he is very important to that English batting lineup, and I think an informed Johnny Bairstow can complement David Warner's batting as well as an informed Shikhar Dhawan did. I don't personally see a Riddhaman Saha complementing that batting, and I mean, other than that, I kind of agree with everything Akshat's brought up, and I really want to see Virat Singh get his chance this season.
Okay, so let's say Bairstow or even Roy do come into the lineup. Ahan, what will you do with the number 7 spot? Who goes there?
Well, I mean, the obvious solution is to push Rashid up, but obviously Akshat has brought up the cons regarding that. But instead, I think you could give someone like an Abhishek Sharma a chance at that number 7 role and compensate the bowling, like compensate Abhishek Sharma's bowling by joining his overs with Vijay Shankar's overs. So if you split their overs into 2 each, then maybe that's a way out for them.
So mind you, Han, 2 things I'll bring up. You spoke about Bairstow, and he is like in red hot form. This is probably the best I've ever seen him bat in the last couple of years at least. But then again, you get Bairstow instead of Kane Williamson. And mind you, Kane Williamson is the vice captain of the side, and Warner and Williamson have a lot of mutual respect for each other. So I don't see a Williamson making way for Bairstow, even though he's in the form of his life.
Yeah.
That's point 1. Point 2, you spoke about Abhishek Sharma. Abhishek Sharma is not somebody who's habituated to batting at number 7. He's a top order batsman who opens the batting for Punjab. So while he is more than capable with the bat. I'm not sure whether he's somebody who can go in and start hitting from ball one, which is what is required from a number 7.
Yeah, but just to bring up that again, Abhishek Sharma has played this number 7 role for Sunrisers in the past. And it's not like he's not been successful. Okay, fine. Maybe you won't remember his contributions that much because of what the people ahead of him in the batting order have done. But he's more than capable of playing that role. He's he's been slotted in that number 7 and number 8 role in the past. And the beauty of this Sunrisers team is basically that if that number 7 role fails, you still have a Rashid and a Bhuvi to fall back on. A similar strength CSK possesses in Shardul Thakur and Deepak Chahar.
Wait. I think Shardul and Deepak are way better batsmen than Rashid and Bhuvi, by the way. Shardul is no mug with the bat. Rashid is somebody who'll get you 10 runs of 3 balls and then get out. He's not somebody who's going to get you 25, 30 runs. He doesn't have that in him. He has a very one-track way of batting.
Yeah, but Rashid's been batting at number 7 in the BBL pretty much for the Hobart Hurricanes. And if you go back to the 2018 IPL playoff game between KKR and Sunrisers, I think it was Rashid's last 2 overs that were basically the difference between the two teams. So he's definitely more than capable if given the opportunity.
On flat wickets where the ball comes onto the bat. Here in India, there's slow tracks. Footwork is what is of utmost importance, and he doesn't possess that. He stands and bats if you look at his technique. He's not somebody who uses too much of his feet. In a place like Australia, South Africa, England, where the ball comes onto the bat, okay, not England anymore, but at least South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, he is somebody who can bat in the top 7, maybe top 6 as well, if he's playing for the Afghanistan national team. But on an Indian subcontinent wicket, I don't see him as somebody who can do that role. He can't get you. If you give Rashid Khan 10 balls, my first question to you is how much do you think he'll get? Okay, before that, my prerequisite question to you is going to be, do you think he's going to last those 10 balls, given how he bats? And secondly, if he bats 10 balls, how many runs is he going to get you? Because he has only one zone, he hits it to deep mid-wicket, and to on the leg side, he hits deep mid-wicket long on, and on the offside, he plays the cut well. But that's all he has in his batting arsenal.
Look, in the hypothetical situation you brought up for me, let's say he lasts 10 balls. If he lasts those 10 balls, he is achieving that 25-run goal you brought up and you mentioned this because that's his batting technique. Now, secondly, coming to this 10-ball target, I get the fact that you think there are still some issues with his batting technique, and maybe his batting game hasn't matured to the sense that he can play that role week in, week out, as you mentioned. But I still don't see a way of dropping an informed Johnny Bairstow, because an informed Johnny Bairstow is as capable as David Warner of winning you games single-handedly. So if a Warner and a Bairstow get off the way they do at the top, and if you can compensate Rashid at 7, you have the ability of going in with a Shabaz Nadeem or a Khalil Ahmed or a Siddharth Kaul or a Basil Thampi, which automatically elevates your bowling, and you don't need to rely on a Vijay Shankar anymore in the bowling department.
But in this team that I've selected, you're not really relying on a Vijay Shankar, because Nabi is a 4-over bank, Rashid is a 4-over bank, Nattu, Bhuvi and Sandeep are also 4-over bank. So there are 5 specialist bowlers who are playing. In the case of one bowler getting hit, then you have a Vijay Shankar who can bowl. That's only in the case of somebody getting hit, which is... These guys are like brilliant at their job. I think Mohammed Nabi is the best off spinner in limited overs cricket. Rashid Khan is the best leg spinner in limited overs cricket. There's no better death bowler currently on current form than Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, and the way Natarajan's doing bowling, he's phenomenal. Last season he did brilliantly. I think there was a game when he bowled 11 out of 12 balls in the block hole in the death. Sandeep Sharma's job is not to bowl in the death. He's just somebody who has to finish his overs in the beginning. So this bowling lineup is, in my opinion, one of the strongest, if not the strongest, bowling lineup in the league. So I don't see the requirement of playing an extra bowler. Sometimes on slow tracks, I get the point of playing a Shahbaz Nadeem, but even he's a 4-over bank, and he's not somebody who's going to leak too many runs, because he's a proven commodity. And had he been in another team, he'd probably be starting and playing all 14 games. So, I said, I don't really see too much to meddle around with this team. And yeah, I refuse to buy the fact that you need a Bairstow because, in my opinion, he completely destroys the balance of the side. And if a Bairstow comes in, that's when you need these bits and pieces players like a Vijay Shankar, like a Kedar Jadhav to bowl 2 overs, which may prove costly.
Okay. Han, you have anything to say?
And in T20 cricket, it's always the bowling that wins you games. It's not your batting that wins you games.
I mean, I'm just basically looking at the pros and cons of keeping a Saha or a Bairstow. I get the fact that Saha won't miss a single stumping. He'll take the toughest catches and he'll be the best keeper out there. But a Johnny Bairstow is capable of scoring a century on any track in the world. He can complement David Warner's batting better than any other batsman in this team for that opener spot. And if you compare those pros and cons, I would want Johnny Bairstow in this team. I
Would you
think it's
drop
very important to have
score
Johnny
14
Bairstow in this team.
games?
I'm sorry I didn't get that.
Would you drop a Ridhiman Saha after he scored 240 runs in 3 games? He was the best batsman last year in the latter half of the tournament.
I mean, that's not a very easy question for me to answer because if I say no and if he comes in and he scores 3 centuries, I'm the fool here. But all I'm trying to say is that given the fact that Johnny Bairstow is in the form of his life, you have to consider the fact that he needs to be considered. You can't just push him away and stick to these 4 or 5 options you presented just because you think it might affect the balance. I think you can build a balance around Warner and Bairstow opening. And if you push an Abhishek Sharma or an Abdul Samar, the way the management has pushed a Natarajan or a Khalil in the past or a Siddharth Kaul in the past, then I think they can get the desired results. Because going into 2018, no, Khalil Ahmed was not a proven commodity. Going into 2019, Natarajan wasn't a proven commodity. This team has made them what they are, and if they believe in their players the way they have for these 2 other pacers, then I think they can find a balance because they have done so in the past. And Tom Moody has a habit of creating superstars out of these raw Indian players. Tom Moody is the new
Okay,
director of
Ahan.
cricket.
Firstly, it's not about why Johnny Bairstow should play. It's about why Johnny Bairstow isn't playing, and I'll answer that for you. So Kane Williamson is also a top order batsman. He's somebody
Yeah.
who's opened for SRH in the past. But the reason he's batting at number 4 is so that he plays that anchor role, or he glues the top order to the middle order, which is a little inexperienced. Okay, I won't say they're inexperienced, but they're not consistent performers. So he plays that role or that leadership role where he anchors the innings and all these other guys, be it a Priyam Garg or Vijay Shankar, who follow him, bat around him. So that's what Kane Williamson has sort of been trained to do, and last year sort of proved how well he performed at that position. So if a Johnny Bairstow comes in, be rest assured that he's not opening the batting with a David Warner. He will come in the place of Kane Williamson, which is highly unlikely, irrespective of the hot form that he's coming in with.
Look, if I look at the top 5 batsmen in the world, Kane Williamson is one of them. So I'm not even going to compare Williamson and Bairstow because Williamson gets more than just a bat. Just Williamson plays more than the role of just a batsman in this team. If you look at David Warner, there are times in the game where he's standing at the boundary, he's talking to the coach, and Williamson's always there next to him. Williamson is a very important person in the planning process, so I don't think Williamson's droppable. Williamson is as important to this team as a Warner, a Bhuvi, a Manish Pandey, and probably a Natarajan now. So that doesn't come into the discussion, which is why I keep talking about building a balance around Bairstow.
Okay. So I think this is dragging on a bit. It's clear that both of you have views that are quite different. And
Williamson is playing and Bairstow is not playing.
okay, so I think we can go on about this all night, but we're not gonna do that. Instead, we're gonna leave it up to you guys. Comment in the comment section. What do you guys think? Who should play? Okay. So one of my last questions, Akshat. Let's say something happens to Bhuvi or Natarajan. You have options like Siddharth Kaul, Khalil Ahmed, Basil Thampi. Who will you bring in?
So again, bro, I look at it in terms of a skill set. Khalil, somebody who's done well, not only for SRH, but in the limited number of games he's played for India, he's performed. So if a Natarajan gets injured, I would straight away slot in a Khalil. If Bhuvi gets injured, I would think on the lines of, I think, a Basil Thampi because he hits the deck hard. But it also sort of reshuffles a lot of things, and I'll tell you why. So Bhuvi is somebody who's very good with the new ball, and neither Siddharth Kaul nor Basil Thampi are really good with the new ball. Jason Holder is somebody who bowls well with the new ball. So the new ball responsibility will now move to Jason Holder. And instead of Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, I would get that extra spinner in Shahbaz Nadeem in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Han, what do you think?
I completely agree with him. I mean, Khalil for Natarajan is basically a swap. Either one of them need to be present at all times. And Bhuvi is just not replaceable. I mean, the Indian team struggles without Bhuvi whenever they play. So the best you can do is slot in maybe a Thampi uh, or a Siddharth Kaul. But I think the actual swap is between a Sandeep Sharma and a Siddharth Kaul.
Okay.
I just don't think Bhuvi is replaceable in this team.
Okay.
Siddharth Kaul doesn't swing the ball. Sandeep Sharma swings it both ways. Siddharth Kaul is very good in the middle over. Sandeep Sharma is very good with the new ball.
Yeah, so depending on the condition, you swap between the two of them. I don't think you can swap Bhuvi with anyone in this team.
Fair.
I'm looking at it in that way.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so final question. Akshat, where do you think the Sunrisers will finish this year?
I actually see them going all the way. So I am confident that they'll make it to the playoffs. And I would put my punt on the fact that they're going to lose in the finals.
Han?
I see them finishing in the top three, but I don't think they're going to go all the way.
Okay, so guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Let us know what you think in the comment section. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time for the next analysis.